Sorry, folks. Some small technical difficulties we're dealing with here. Every week it's something new here at BSing Sports, but thank you again for coming back and joining us, where, as always, I'm Bill, that's Ryan, that's Tim. We're here to give you some great predictions for Week 2 in the NFL. Guys, how you doing?
Better than Justin Herbert, I guess.
Fractured rib cartilage.
Yeah, fractured rib cartilage. That's got to be a tough one. I mean, it sounds The silver lining in the clouds was it was a Thursday game, so it gives them extra time for recovery.
I think he played week though.
Yeah, I mean, he played pretty well. I mean, after he got hit, all things considered. So I don't think there's any world where he sits out week 3.
What about
threw a pair of dimes for on I think late third and late fourth down drive.
Yeah.
what about Travis Kelce getting slammed?
That's pretty cool.
It was pretty cool to watch. That was pretty cool.
That was pretty cool.
All right, fans. Well, as previously stated, we're going to be giving you our predictions for week 2. Last week is over. Tim is in the lead in our little gentleman's bet. Good for him.
You're gonna disrespect Tim like that? You're not even gonna let him talk about the Thursday game after he called Chiefs by 3?
It's all good. No worries. I think the game was way better than I thought it was going to be. I didn't catch the third or fourth quarter. To be honest, I went to bed. Gotta get up at 4:30 in the morning. You know what it is. But other than that, from what I saw the first 2 halves, the defense of the Chargers is really good. But I just had a feeling. I just saw on Facebook Patrick Mahomes is 10-3 against the AFC West.
However, 2 of those 3 losses were Justin Herbert at Arrowhead.
True.
Yeah, that's the first time Justin Herbert's lost at Arrowhead in his career.
I just had a feeling Mahomes will figure it out at the end.
Indeed. All right, now that Timmy got to give his little bragging rights again, he's I mean, we all won the Chiefs there, good for you, Tim. Good for you. Do you feel good? Maybe we won't fire you this week, and we can figure something else out.
If you're that upset that I'm beating you, Bill, you can fire me.
All right, it's been decided. Tim's fired.
We're just gonna make better picks this week, I guess, Bill.
All right. Let's get into week 2. Let's get into week 2. To start off, obviously we were surprised about the Giants beating the Titans last week. You got the Carolina Panthers going into New York to play the Giants. Tim, how you feeling?
I got the Panthers by 4. 14-10 game.
Yeah, I actually agree here with Tim. I think this is kind of a leveling out game. I don't think that the Giants are going to be what they were last week, and the same could be said for the Panthers. I think the Panthers, as much as I touched on, it's hard to win in the road in the NFL, go into New York and probably win by a field goal somewhere in that neighborhood. But yeah, go ahead and give me the Panthers in that one.
Okay, I'm opposite of you guys. First pick of the week, we are different. Giants really showed something last week, and I think the biggest thing that they showed was A, Saquon Barkley, and B, the heart. Got to have heart. You know what I'm saying? And they really rallied there, beat a good Titans team, and for me, the Giants. I got the Giants coming out on top on this one.
The Titans team that, I'm not mistaken, we all picked to win the AFC South, or Bill, you might have picked the Colts.
I picked the Colts.
I don't remember.
I think I took the Colts.
I'll have to go back.
One of us took the Colts. I know I took the Titans, so
I believe I'm the one who took the Colts. Yes.
I think the Giants defense held Derrick Henry pretty well, but I think the Panthers might utilize CMC better than what the Titans used Derrick Henry about.
Yeah, the Panthers
CMC is more versatile.
But Panthers have to utilize CMC and DJ more and more in this game if they're going to win. More and more. They got to utilize their best 2 players way more often than they did last week if they plan on actually winning any football games.
Yeah, the versatility of Christian McCaffrey needs to be on display any chance that he gets to put it on display. And it's that simple. Second game of the week, Patriots visiting the Steelers, who came off of a big win against the Bengals in week 1. Ryan.
Yeah, Steelers are playing who again?
The Patriots.
Patriots?
Yeah.
Okay. That's tough. Is it in Foxborough?
Give me 1 second.
No. You know what? You said it's in Pittsburgh?
It's in Pittsburgh.
I'm going to go ahead and pick the Steelers, man. The Steelers win some weird games year over year. I know TJ Watt's out for probably the next 6 weeks, which is a big blow to the defense that played extremely well, as I touched on in the recap. Forced 5 turnovers from Joe Burrow, so that's a feat in itself. I think they'll do just fine against a much lesser offense. The Patriots are still finding an identity. They're still struggling within themselves to figure out who they are. So I'm going to go ahead and take the Steelers here by a clean touchdown. I don't think it'll be a particularly high-scoring game, but I just think 20-13, maybe somewhere in that neighborhood.
Yeah, I agree with Ryan. I got the Steelers winning. It's won by at least.
Dude, get your own opinion.
But like Ryan said, the defense was playing really well. 5 turnovers against the reigning AFC champions. They Mitch Trubisky didn't play terrible, but they got to use Deontay Johnson. Is Najee Harris playing this week? Do you know? Yeah, they got to use him more. But he got an ankle problem now. But use it back up a little bit more. Than they got to utilize the big name players to do something, in my opinion.
Tim, that's a nice hat you got on there.
I know.
Yeah, it's fantastic. We actually have quite a few more of those, if I'm not mistaken.
We do, in fact. Yes.
We do.
Yeah, for me, it's the Steelers as well. We talked about Bill Belichick being on the chopping block. Yes, they are going to win games, the Patriots, that is. However, I just don't think it's this week. I think they go into the season 0-2. And as a result, the Steelers come out on top. I've got the Steelers by 10.
Dang, you got the Steelers by 10? I don't know that they have that many offensive weapons.
I've got the Steelers by 10. Yes, Tim, that's better. Yeah. All right, let's roll right into the next one. We're going to get through this quick because the Eagles and Vikings is the last game we're going to talk about, and we're going to talk about that. So, next game, the Jets.
Started by Joe Flacco again.
Yeah, I know. Visiting the Cleveland Browns. Tim.
I took the Browns by, I want to say, at least 2 touchdowns. I think Joey B has a bounce-back game. Doesn't throw any interceptions. T. Higgins is playing. So Joe Mixon
might play.
You're right. He practiced today, so
you
I'm
were
hopeful.
Talking about the wrong team.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It's the Browns.
I am so sorry, guys.
Dang, bro. Speaking of Jets, that one went way over your head.
You ain't lying. But so I still got the
I think
Browns.
Timmy takes an automatic L on that, right?
No.
Yeah, Timmy has the Bengals winning the Browns versus Jets game. So I'm going to go ahead and say that's an L.
But I got the Browns winning by at least 2 touchdowns. I think Jacoby Brissett had the better game than what he showed last week. He managed the game pretty well, but he made a couple big plays when he needed to. I think they're going to get Amari Cooper more involved, and the run attack is pretty well for the Browns still with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt.
Right.
Yeah, I'm kind of amazed at the fact that the Browns were able to run the ball at will last week, despite the fact that those are the only 2 real viable weapons they have in Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb at the moment. With Jacoby Brissett starting at quarterback, nobody imagines that the Browns are going to throw the ball 40 times a game. So you'd think that there'd be more stacked boxes, but I'm going to go ahead and actually take the Jets to win this game on the road. I think that week 1 was indicative that some weird things are going to happen this year. I think Joe Flacco plays just well enough to beat the Browns, and I think that the Jets have a much better defense than the Panthers do. So I think that Robert Saleh will get his guys a little bit more ready for the running attack of the Browns rather than what happened with the Panthers. So I got it in a close game, though, and not particularly high scoring again, maybe 21-17, somewhere in that neighborhood.
I have a 17-16 victory to the New York Jets.
Yeah.
As Ryan already pointed out, the defense is better than what the Panthers have. They're going to find ways to force Jacoby Brissett to have to throw the ball, and I think they force a turnover or 2, and that's going to be the difference maker there. 17-16, Jets. 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 Buccaneers visiting the New Orleans Saints.
This is actually probably the most interesting game because since Tom Brady has become a Buccaneer, the Buccaneers have not beat the Saints ever. So, with that stat in mind, I'm going to go ahead and pick the Buccaneers anyway because it's like the Aaron Rodgers thing where I needed to see, Aaron Rodgers play bad once. I'm always going to bet for Tom Brady-led teams. Like they could not win another game for the rest of the year, and every single week I'm going to sit on this show and predict that the Buccaneers will win that game. Yeah, go ahead and give me the Bucs by 7. Although the Saints do look like an improved team, I know they struggled for a lot of the game against Atlanta, but they played well in the fourth quarter when it mattered. Came out with a W. Buccaneers going into New Orleans, so go ahead and give me the Bucs by a touchdown. I'll take 27-20.
Tim.
I also got the Bucs winning this game. I think it's going to be closer, like a 21-17 game, something like that. But I think Alvin Kamara is limited and questionable for Sunday's game.
Chris Godwin's out too.
Chris Godwin is out. Mike Evans had a hamstring problem already.
That's every year.
He didn't practice, I know, today and yesterday.
That's every year.
You're right. Leonard Fournette also has a hamstring problem. He didn't practice last 2 days. But I still think the Bucs get it done with Tom Brady. 21-17 for me.
All right, all three of us are going with the Buccaneers on this one. Listen, I think the difference factor the last couple of years with Tom Brady's Buccaneers not being able to beat the Saints didn't have anything to do with the quarterback position, but the coaching spot. And Sean Payton is no longer the coach in New Orleans. And as a result, I believe the Buccaneers come out on top on this one. I also believe it'll be a close game. I'm talking 24-21, 21-17 situation like that. But yeah, give me the Bucs.
I don't think it was Sean Payton so much that had the Buccaneers number as Dennis Allen, who is still in New Orleans. I think the Dennis Allen defense has caused a lot of havoc for Tom Brady and the offense of the Buccaneers. But, I mean, we could be wrong, and Tom Brady could end up being, 0-7 against the Saints in his career as a Buccaneer. So I don't know. I can't remember how many years he's been there already.
4, 5? I don't remember. He won a Super Bowl his first year. When were you guys here for Timmy's?
I think it might only be his third year. I think he's 0-5 against them.
It is a third year.
Yeah. Okay, well, there you go.
So,
so I already skipped it. Miami Dolphins visiting the Baltimore Ravens. Tim.
I got the Dolphins winning. I think the Ravens played terrible.
No way all three of us took the Dolphins. There's no way all three of us took the Dolphins.
Sure ain't.
Okay.
I just think that this is going to be the best game of the week.
I agree with Ryan. I think it's going to be the best game. I think Tua and Hill and Waddle, Chase Edmonds all got something to prove that they are a team to be reckoned with. So give me the Dolphins, close game, 21-17, 14-10, something like that. I think the defense played pretty well.
Right.
I brought up a stat last week that quarterbacks that sat in the preseason, their teams went 3-8 in week 1. What I failed to mention about that stat was 2 of those wins were won by teams that were playing against 2 of the losers. So, outside of the Colts and Texans, you kind of think, somebody has to win that football game. The third win was the Lamar Jackson-led Baltimore Ravens, where Lamar Jackson didn't play in the preseason and actually looked pretty good for the most part, outside of the one interception that he threw. He threw 3 touchdowns, 2 to Devin Duvernay, and then the long one to Rashad Bateman. I think that offense is going to give Miami's defense all they can handle. J.K. Dobbins is supposed to play. He logged 3 straight full practices this week. If J.K. Dobbins comes back in anywhere near the form like he was his rookie year, I think that the Ravens run for 150, 160 yards on the ground all over the Dolphins defense. And I think that the Ravens defense is good enough to keep them in games now that the secondary is healthy. So I'm going to go ahead and take the Ravens by a field goal. But like I said, this is going to be probably the best game this week. I like this matchup a lot.
I like this game a lot as well. As I already ruined my prediction there, is I am taking the Dolphins for everything that Timmy said, except for they want to prove that they're a team to be reckoned with. I think on paper they have the better roster. The Ravens front 5 is probably better than the Dolphins, but outside of that, I'm pretty sure the Dolphins on paper are the better team. Lamar Jackson is a better quarterback than Tua Tagovailoa. However, in the second half of that game with the Dolphins and Patriots, Tua Tagovailoa looked significantly better throwing the ball to Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle than he did in the first half of the game.
I don't think Tua's a bad quarterback, man. I think he's in a good spot. I think he'll find his way this year.
And so do I. And again, my prediction here coming out of the AFC East is that finishing Sunday, the Dolphins will be in first place of that division. Dolphins.
Okay.
Bills play on Monday night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. They have the Titans on Monday night.
Do they really? It's a double Monday night game?
There's 2 Monday night games.
Right?
Hey, I'm good with that. Because if you don't have anybody for one game in fantasy on Monday Night Football, then now you got 2 games. with four very prolific offenses, mind you, or at least viable pieces.
I want to watch both games. I want to be able to focus on the Eagles and Vikings, and I want to be able to focus on the Bills and Titans. And you can't do that when you have two games at the same time.
Bill, brother, you have two TVs in your living room.
Hey! Don't be exposing me out here on the internet.
You got a cell phone.
Obviously, the big one's going to go to the Eagles. You can always put the Titans and the Bills on the little one.
Yeah, that's fair. Fine. Anyway, back to our predictions.
I predict we'll watch both Monday night games at the same time.
I definitely will. We've got the Commanders visiting the Detroit Lions.
This is an interesting game, too. I like this game a lot.
Tim.
Give me the Lions. I think Dan Campbell's defense will step it up this week and stop Antonio Gibson. The passing game from Wentz was better than what we've seen in the past 2 years. I guess at the way the Lions played last week, DeAndre Swift ran all over a good Philly defense.
A good Philly defense? You watch the same game I did?
Let me rephrase that for you. Supposedly a good defense. So give me the Lions by another close game. High-scoring game. I got to say 34-31.
I have the score in the same range. I do think it'll be a high-scoring game. I got the Commanders, man. And you know what? This is another intriguing game. If it was in D.C., I would say Commanders, a little bit more comfortably, but it's hard to win on the road in the NFL. Go ask the Eagles. They just won a very close game against the Lions. And the Lions are a much better football team than they have been in the past. As we've all predicted, the Lions are going to come in this season and lose a lot of close games. It's going to be another one of them. But it would not shock me in the slightest if the Lions, made a statement and won this game at home. They have a coach they can rally behind. They have a very talented roster. DeAndre Swift is questionable this week. If he does not end up playing, obviously, I have the Commanders. I do not think Jamal Williams even brings remotely the same skill set as Swift. But go ahead and
he's playing. They already said he's playing.
That's good.
He could be limited though.
Yeah.
They said no limit.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see. But to me, it's. He might not be limited in snaps, but rolling your ankle like that as a running back, it's going to be, making those cuts gets a little bit more difficult. So we'll see. But either way, I got the Commanders by 3. I think Carson Wentz balls out, has another good game against a weak Lions secondary.
I'm going to go back to coaching. The Washington Commanders have a defensive-minded head coach in Riverboat Ron. John Gannon is not a good defensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles. And that is going to be the difference maker. Yes, I realize we'll get into the Eagles stuff. But Riverboat Ron is a better coach than Gannon is. And as a result, yes, the Eagles won last week. However, they probably could have and should have won more handily. A. B, the Commanders will go into Detroit and they will get a victory. I believe it will be a high-scoring game, though. If DeAndre Swift is on the field. If not, it'll be a much lower scoring game. So give me the Commanders by anywhere between 4 and 10 points. I know it's a big range, but Commanders by 4 and 10, between 4 and 10.
It's a solid prediction. I think we're ganging up on Timmy. We need to close the ground, so some of our picks are going to have to be the opposite of his.
Which is funny. He's only 2 ahead of us. Like he's not running away.
He's 1 ahead of you. He's 2 ahead of me.
That's right. Yeah.
7 ahead of you guys this week.
Seahawks.
Okay.
Geno Smith and the Seattle.
Okay.
Geno Smith and the Seattle Seahawks visiting the San Francisco Trey Lance-led 49ers.
1-0 Seattle Seahawks. Let's put that
1-0 Seattle Seahawks. Tim.
I got the 49ers. I think Trey Lance had a very better game out of the rain in Chicago. He couldn't do what he can do, what Ryan been pointing to me for the past year and a half, what he can do.
Justin Fields did.
Justin Fields had less than 50% completion, too. The 49ers just blew a couple coverages, and his guys were wide open.
So I think Trey Lance will have a better game than what he did, obviously. I'm going to take them. I don't think Seattle that good still. So give me 49ers by 7. They use Debo more. They use Brandon Ayuk more with Elijah Mitchell going out. Give me the 49ers by 7.
The Seattle Seahawks were two plays away from the 1 yard line by losing last Monday night's game by 2 touchdowns. So I think, sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. So congratulations to the Seahawks for beating the slightly overrated Denver Broncos, in my opinion. We'll get on them later. However, I think the 49ers blow this game open. I think they go up by 14. I think Trey Lance will be, a little bit more settled in. It'll be his first home start in what's supposed to be sunny, 72 degrees, California. So go ahead and give me the 49ers. I think Kyle Shanahan will have him a little bit more ready for this start.
It's one thing to play in Seattle with that crowd, the 12th man out there in Seattle. It's another thing to go on the road and try and take a victory from another good team. Well, not another team, another good team.
Kittle's also out again.
And yeah, that's true. Kittle is out. But as Timmy pointed out, Ayuk and Debo are going to be more involved in the offense. As Ryan pointed out, Trey Lance is going to be a little bit more settled. He's going to look good. He's going to play better. I would not be surprised if the 49ers win this game by 20 points. So give me the Niners and give me the Niners big.
Yeah, I agree. I think that was kind of a lucky win there for Seattle. I hate using that term, but when you have two fumbles on back-to-back drive from the 1 yard line, that hasn't happened in 35 years. I'm not banking on it to happen in back-to-back weeks.
Speaking of the Broncos, they host the Houston Texans coming off a tie with the Colts.
I said it last week. I'm saying it again. The Houston mother Texans. Y'all can fill in that blank with whatever word you want. But
mother flipping.
Go ahead and give me the Houston Texans to win on the road in Mile High, 17-14. Up until the fourth quarter last week, the Texans looked so good. They were cruising to a blowout against the Colts. I know that game was at home in Houston. However, for 3/4 of the game, they wildly outplayed the Indianapolis Colts. I'm going to go ahead. This game I specifically wanted to talk about because I wanted to bring up some stat lines. So let me go to my NFL, my week 1. Yes, thank you for agreeing with me. Okay, so one quarterback threw for 352 yards and a touchdown. That same team's running back ran for 161 yards and a touchdown. And the number one wide receiver had 9 catches for 121 yards and a touchdown. The other team, their quarterback threw for 240 yards. Their leading rusher had 40 yards. And their leading wide receiver had 82 yards and no touchdowns. And you mean to tell me that game was a tie? I think that says a little bit more about the Colts than the Texans. But go ahead and give me the Texans as a surprise on the road. I'm just going to keep riding that Texans train until they actually lose. The undefeated Texans.
That's true. Timmy?
Give me the Broncos by 3. Ryan said it. The Texans played great. I did think Russell Wilson had a bounce back game. And he's going to not kick a field goal 64 yards away on 4th and 5. He's actually going to go for it and get it. So I think the Broncos –
Can we talk about that after you're done your prediction, Bill? Can we talk about that for a second?
Yes, we can come back to it.
Broncos by at least 7.
Ryan, you almost have me convinced, man. I am close on this one. But I'm not going to go against the Broncos at home. They are in Mile High. Houston, it's just different breathing that air when you haven't done it.
Guess I'm the only one going undefeated this week.
Bull. It's getting deep in here. I gotta get my boots out. So yeah, you're gonna have to give me the Broncos on this one, but you got me thinking it's gonna be a way closer game. Give me the Broncos in a 27-24 victory over the Texans. That's not what I wrote down originally. I won't tell you what I wrote down originally. That's how convinced you made me that the Texans are going to make this competitive. So 27-24 Broncos. How
do you guys feel about Nathaniel Hackett walking back his decision publicly to kick the field goal instead of going for it?
Not my coach.
I think he's done for doing it.
You know what? I agree. And I got into a discussion about it with one of my buddies. The way that I would look at that as a player is my coach now has no confidence in himself. He made a decision. You know what? It was the wrong decision, and everybody and their mom knew it. Stick by your guns, man. You made the decision. Now you showed that it could have very easily been 4th and 5. The Broncos don't convert. And he could have went into the public and said, yeah, we should have kicked the field goal. But that's a very realistic possibility now because we know that he's not going to stand by his decisions. Not a very good look for Nathaniel Hackett in his first game, in my opinion. It might be overlooking it a little bit, but as a player playing for Nathaniel Hackett, I'd be like, does this dude really have confidence in what he's calling and what he's doing?
I'm with you.
I'm with you, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not so sure that was the best move.
Yeah, if I'm a player, I'm respecting the coach for coming out and being like, yeah, no, I thought it was the right decision. Obviously, it didn't work.
Yeah,
and that being the answer.
Exactly. Yeah.
I feel like I'm yelling. I'm sorry. I just get so worked up.
The problem is that game shouldn't have been that close. 2 fumbles on a 1-yard line, back-to-back drives.
Really, that's the reality of it is they should have never been in that position. They should have been out by 14, 16, 17 points at any given time in that game. And your running backs gave the game away. It's cut and dry. Let's move on to the Arizona Cardinals visiting the Las Vegas Raiders. Tim, I'm going to let you fire away first. Tim, Ryan.
I got the Raiders winning. Bounce back week for them. They played decent against the Chargers. Derek Carr has to throw the ball more around more, not only to Devontae Adams.
Derek Carr was getting abused behind his offensive line last week. I would like to point that out. Sorry, continue.
And he was getting abused last year too, and he still threw the ball around. But the Arizona Cardinals, they're missing too many key things, in my opinion. They don't have the number 1 wide receiver. They don't have the number 2 wide receiver they have. Who they got? Marquise Brown and
Hollywood Brown, yeah.
Hollywood Brown, Stackers, James
Conner.
Pretty much everybody outside of D-Hop is there.
Is Rondell Moore playing this week?
He played last week.
Did he? I thought he was out.
No, he just didn't exist. No.
All right. Well, give me the Raiders by 3. You got me all confused now.
Yeah, Ryan.
I don't know that I've been disappointed in a team quite like I was disappointed in the Arizona Cardinals week 1. That was an embarrassing showing. I mean, the defense didn't show up, and the offense must have thought the game was in Kansas City because they got trounced. I mean, there was no game plan. They looked completely unready. I expect them to have more of a bounce back game than I do the Raiders. I'll take the Cardinals by 3. I think Kyler Murray, as overrated as he is a little bit better than what he played last week. He was not, exceptional. He was not even really okay. The defense was just porous. And I really don't think Derek Carr figures out that there are other receivers than Devontae Adams just yet. And they completely utilized him the wrong way. I remember I saw one play on Red Zone where Derek Carr threw the ball 45 yards downfield to Devontae Adams. I was like, I don't need to see the rest of this game. They don't know how to utilize Devontae Adams. He's not that kind of receiver. He never was. So go ahead and give me the Cardinals. I think they're a little bit better coached. I think they're a little bit better of a talented roster. I think they run the ball a little bit better. I think Kyler Murray outplays Derek Carr by just enough to win the game by 3.
Yeah, for me, it's just the inexperience of McDaniels with that type of offense that he needs to be running now. I don't know if maybe Belichick had some input in New England, and that's why he constantly rotated running backs in and out and didn't really throw the ball that much. But I agree with Ryan. Sending Devontae Adams 40 yards down the field means you just don't get it. You just don't get it. So unless that changes, I agree it's the Cardinals. However, I am taking the Raiders. If this game was in Arizona, I would go the other way, and that's literally the only factor that I took into this one is that the Raiders they're both going to be middle of the road teams this year. I think maybe just a little bit above average teams this year. I think I have them both slated at 9-8 if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, so give me the Raiders because they're the home team.
Yeah, that's reasonable. I could see that too.
Did McDaniels have a top tier wide receiver in New England?
No, I was going to touch on that point. I just don't think that he's experienced enough with a legitimate number 1 receiver. Exactly. I don't think he was there for the days of Randy Moss. I think he was still coaching in Denver.
Okay.
Cincinnati, reigning AFC champion, Cincinnati Bengals visiting the Dakless Cowboys.
We're not talking about the Cleveland Browns here, Tim.
I got this. I'm on top of it.
Oh, it's Ryan's turn first, so it's fine.
I'll tell you what, the way that the Dallas Cowboys played on the offensive side of the ball with Dak Prescott on Sunday night, they win maybe 7 games. Without Dak Prescott, they are a terrible football team. The offensive line looks like Swiss cheese. They can't block for anybody. And I think the Bengals just blow them out. The Dallas defense is fine, but you can only be on the field so much. And as I touched on in the recap show, the only person offensively that looked like they played well was Zeke. You can't feed Zeke the way that you used to. He's not that type of running back anymore. So I think that the Bengals win pretty big here.
Yeah, I got the Bengals too. Like I said earlier when we were talking about the Browns, Higgins practiced today, so I think he might be clear to play for Saturday. Joe Mixon going to get his touches. Leonard Fournette ran for over 100 yards, so I think Joe Mixon will run for over 100 yards. Joey B will have a bounce-back game. I think maybe 1 interception instead of 5.
I mean, he throws interceptions.
Exactly. It's a boom or bust offense.
Big play offense, yep.
And they're going to boom this week. Give me the Bengals by a lot.
I mean, that Cowboys offensive line could make average to below average pass rushes look elite. The Buccaneers do have a pretty good defensive line, but I mean, the Cowboys offense was just terrible. Every drop back, they were keeping multiple extra blockers to help protect Dak. If you have to do that, you are not going to win 8-9 games in a season. That's just not the way it's going to work. 12 targets for CeeDee Lamb and only 2 catches. I mean, if you're supposed to be a number 1 receiver, that type of stat line can't happen. And you only give your best player on offense the ball 9 times. They ran Zeke 9 times for 52 yards. It wasn't a good game plan. I don't think Kellen Moore is smart enough to devise a game plan where he schemes his best dudes open. You look at Cooper Kupp last year was schemed open every single play. You look at Justin Jefferson in week 1, Kevin O'Connell schemed him open every single play to the point where he was in man coverage against linebackers. Kellen Moore's just not that smart. He doesn't know how to utilize his weapons. He runs a very basic offense. Very little motion involved, very little schematics involved, and the Cowboys just aren't good enough. They're at this point in time, if Dak is out 6 to 8 weeks, they are competing for a top 5 pick. That's the only thing they're competing for.
Yeah. No, I mean, listen, everything you guys said is spot on. The Cowboys are not a good team. I would like to point out that in our NFC East predictions back about a month ago, I predicted that Tony Pollard would have the same or more amount of snaps this season than Ezekiel Elliott, and he had 2 less in game 1. That is going to be a trend that is going to go up. As Ryan pointed out already, Zeke is not the kind of back who can just run and pound and pound and pound anymore. You're going to need to be a little bit more versatile, especially if you're going to try and compete. So the Tony Pollard factor isn't going to mean anything in games. But yeah, it's not going to mean anything in games, especially without your number 1 quarterback, who's like quarterback 16, in my opinion, in the league anyway. So give me the Bengals, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's the Bengals by 34 points. When I say big, I mean big. All right, Ryan's dealing with his pup right now. So Sunday Night Football, we got the Chicago Bears I'm good. Oh, okay. We have the Chicago Bears visiting the Devontae Adams-less Green Bay Packers, the shell-shocked looked Aaron Rodgers-led Green Bay Packers, the absolutely horrendous-looking Green Bay Packers on Sunday Night Football. Tim, what do you got?
Give me the Bears.
The Bears.
The Bears run defense was pretty good against San Francisco, and they have a good run offense. So, I mean, if Aaron Rodgers can't figure out how to throw the passes to rookie wide receiver, then them catching the passes, they're not going to figure out that offense. You can't run A.J. Dillon, and Aaron Jones every play. You can't run them every play. So the rookie wide receivers got to figure out for the Packers. Aaron Rodgers got to figure out how to throw the ball to them. Give me the Bears by 3. Going to be close.
Alan Lazard is playing in this game, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Give me the Packers by 7. Aaron Rodgers is their daddy. That's not going to change. They don't need Devontae Adams for that. Christian Watson actually did a pretty good job of getting himself open for the most part. He dropped that long touchdown pass that, that's one of those things you kind of do once and you won't ever do again. So I just don't. I mean, the Packers got blown out 38-3 last year in week 1, and they came back and obviously were the number 1 seed in the NFC. So I'm not long-term concerned about them yet without Devontae Adams. They do need to do some work, but with Allen Lazard coming back, Robert Tonyan looking a little healthy. Yeah, as Jake just mentioned right there, Christian Watson is an athletic freak. He's a little raw as a wide receiver, but like I said, he was running some really good routes last week. I mean, he was getting himself open. So I think in the long run, the Packers offense will be fine. They have some tweaks and kinks that need to be worked out, but the Bears are not a good football team. I don't think they have a good roster. I still don't think they can compete with the Packers. They're easily the worst team in their division, so I got the Packers by 7.
I actually am glad that Jake Biasato has tuned in here to this one, because I'm gonna quote one of the people on Talking, our buddies over there at Talking 215. Christian Watson drops that wide open first play from Green Bay. That completely changes the complexity of the game. He catches that and scores right there. The Packers go up 7. It's a completely different game. Coach Joey over there at Talking 215 with Jake and Sean had that take, and I was listening to their show before we hopped on here. They're wonderful. If you haven't listened to them yet, go check out Talking 215. Again, they're one of the podcast. They are the other podcasts on our BSing Sports Network. And that's the reality of it is the Packers were essentially one play from making this look like a completely different game at the beginning of the game. Yes, Aaron Rodgers looks shell-shocked, but if I drop a ball directly in the hands of a fast wide receiver and he drops it, I'm probably going to be a little hesitant to throw him the ball again too. So I think, especially with Allen Lazard coming back, I think the Packers – listen, it's just like a couple years ago when Aaron Rodgers spelled relax to the media, RELAX, relax. It's the first game of the season. Yeah, the Vikings came out, played well, beat them. Guess what? The Vikings came out, played well, beat them last year in the first game of the season, and look what the Packers went on and did. So give me the Packers, and I'm not saying it's going to be a close game. I want the Packers by 14.
Yeah, and to touch on what Jake's talking about, Christian Watson there, Christian Watson's just I feel like he's going to be a better version of Marquez Valdez-Scantling. Everybody, once he went to Kansas City, everybody's like, oh, MVS is going to, turn up finally, as if, QB play was what he was really struggling with, or opportunity. And I think Christian Watson is just going to be the MVS replacement. I think that he's going to do very well in Green Bay. I think he's, as Jake just said, he landed in the perfect situation. He has a quarterback that's really going to kind of teach him the hard way, but the right way to be an NFL receiver. And it wouldn't surprise me at all if Aaron Rodgers targets him early again, knowing that Christian Watson probably won't drop that pass again.
That's what Aaron Rodgers has done his entire career. That's how he makes people look better. And he's done it throughout his entire career. Go right back to them. Show them, hey, look, I've got confidence in you. Play the game. Let's go. And then moving on. Jake has another comment. Let's read it real quick. 6 playoff teams played games against non-playoff teams. Only one of those teams won. It was the Eagles in week 1. Week 1's nuts, so don't go counting out Green Bay. And it's true. It's exactly what I just said. Like last year, the Packers were 0-1, and then they went on a 13-3 run.
I genuinely, didn't take, week 1 super into account. I still don't think Green Bay catches the Vikings. I think Kevin O'Connell going to the Vikings is just otherworldly difference making for the Vikings offense. They have, in my opinion, better playmakers at every position than the Rams did. And look at what he turned the Rams offense into. So, but I do think that the Green Bay Packers are a playoff team. I think that they'll be fine.
Agreed. All right, let's move into Monday night. We got 2 Monday night games, as we've already mentioned. We'll start, like I said, we're going to talk with the Eagles last. So let's start with the Titans, who just lost that game against the Giants in Tennessee, visiting the Buffalo Bills, who came out and dominated the defending Super Bowl champions in week 1. Who you got? I think I wanted Tim on this one.
Give me the Bills. The Titans just didn't prove to me that they're the 1 seed from last year. Derrick Henry got leveled. The running game not good in my opinion right now.
Derrick Henry got leveled.
Yeah, Tay Crowder went from Mr. Irrelevant to the hardest hit on Derrick Henry that he's ever had in his whole career.
Yeah.
Give me the Bills, and I think it's going to be by a lot. I think the Bills will not slow down, and Josh Allen's going to have himself another night. Same thing with Stephon Diggs. Give me Bills.
Where's this game at?
Buffalo.
Yeah, then give me the Bills by 3. After week 1 last year, when Derrick Henry went for 52 yards, he averaged 145 yards and 2 touchdowns a game. So I'm not exactly concerned about his week 1 performance yet. And I imagine that he will probably, storm all over the Bills defense. I don't care who they are. I know they were number 1 in points allowed last year. I know they were number 1 in yards allowed last year. Derrick Henry to me is in the same class as Aaron Rodgers. Just because they had one bad week, I'm not counting them out. Titans will do work. I think Tannehill for the most part manages the game well, but the Bills will obviously pull this out. I mean, you can sit there and laugh. I almost called the Texans beating the Colts at home last year. So this is football. Weird stuff happens. The Titans could very easily win this game if Derrick Henry does Derrick Henry things to his maximum extent, but I don't see that happening just yet. So I'll take the Bills by 3.
Yeah, so Ryan's got the Bills close. Timmy's got the Bills big. I've got the Bills intermediate. Give me a 7 to 10 point victory for the Bills. I think everything Ryan said is accurate. The Titans are going to make this game more competitive than I think anyone in the NFL is expecting them to make it. But let's be reminded that they were the number 1 seed last year. They are a good team.
Without A.J. Brown and Derrick Henry, they were the number 1 seed last year. So they are still a very good football team.
Crazier things have happened.
Bring that comment up.
Let me finish my prediction.
Bring the by 3, the laughing emojis, and then that comment up so I can laugh at Jake, because that's a worse take than me saying Bills by 3 by a lot. That's a worse take by a lot. Zach Moss will outrush Devin Singletary.
No, he will not.
Yeah, he will.
No, he will not. Now, the finish of my prediction here is Sean McDermott and that Buffalo Bills team. They were ready to go last Thursday night. They got the extra few days to rest after taking on and destroying the defending Super Bowl champions. They've been game planning for Derrick Henry for 7 straight days, 8 straight days, whatever it's been. And I think that the game will be close because of garbage time and not because the Bills don't put their foot to the floor and give it to the Titans. So give me the Bills convincingly, but 7 to 10 points.
I think there are a lot of good games this week. A lot of really good games this week.
Speaking of good games, here comes the best one.
Y'all
Minnesota
are
Vikings.
Real heartbroken by this.
Minnesota Vikings visiting our Philadelphia Eagles. Ryan, because I know where you're going.
The Vikings are going to put up over 40 points against us. Like, quite easily. Justin Jefferson's going for over 200 yards. I mean, Jonathan Gannon couldn't stop a fly last week against Detroit, and this Vikings offense is not a fly. If they're a fly, they're a horse fly. They're the biggest horse fly you've ever seen. Justin Jefferson's going for over 200 yards against the slot and Avonte Maddox. I know Avonte Maddox is the best slot corner in the NFL, but when you play a soft zone coverage against guys who get schemed open, as I just said, to the point where they're in man coverage against linebackers, Justin Jefferson's going to have a field day against us. It's going to be terrible. Dalvin Cook is still Dalvin Cook. They can run the ball effectively. Adam Thielen is still a very good receiver when he's on the field, especially in the red zone. The Vikings are a different breed with Kevin O'Connell at the helm. That being said, I don't like their defense. I know they held the Packers to 7 points. This is a shootout for me. I think that the Vikings take this by 3, like 45-42. I think this game is nuts. But I think that the Vikings just – John Gannon really needs to go. I don't think he somehow magically overnight figures this thing out. If he allowed 35 points to Detroit, what do you think that this Vikings offense is going to do? Let's be honest. That they're going to steamroll this Eagles defense. But
Tim.
I don't trust their defense. 45-42 Vikings.
Tim.
I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I think Justin Jefferson is going to have a game. But I also think A.J. Brown is going to have his also. On that note, I think Sanders will outrush Dalvin Cook. Give me the Eagles, high-scoring game, like Ryan said, the same way as his, by 3. Eagles by 3 at home.
Honestly, the only reason I have it so close is because it's in Philadelphia. If it's in Minnesota, it's Vikings.
It's a different game. Yeah, it's definitely a different game in Minnesota.
Kirk Cousins on Monday Night Football. I like my chances. Give me a high-scoring game. But Kirk Cousins is not good on prime time. He's proven it throughout his entire career. I believe it will be another scenario in which that happens. Now, listen, if this is a 1 o'clock game on Sunday afternoon, I think it's a completely different outcome. But for whatever reason, he gets cold feet in prime time. Dalvin Cook is still going to have a game. Justin Jefferson's going to have 700 yards and 6 touchdowns. However, hot take, maybe not that hot of a take, Devontae Smith leads the team in receptions. He'll have more than 10, and he will lead the team in yards receiving with over 120, and he will have 2 touchdowns this week.
I would say that's a really hot take.
I'd be okay with that for my fantasy team. But
I mean, that's a steaming hot take considering the way that nobody else outside of A.J. Brown existed last week.
I'm aware of that, and they managed to luckily pull out a win. Listen, A.J. Brown's still going to get 8 receptions. Goddard's going to get 6. I'm telling they're going to finally spread the ball out.
You really think Jalen Hurts is going to complete 20-some passes between 3 guys?
Yeah.
You watching the same dude I did?
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts was terrible throwing the ball last week. He was awful.
I'm aware. I know.
Against the bad Detroit defense.
Mm-hmm.
He gets an equally bad Minnesota defense. He's
Exactly.
still going to be terrible throwing the football.
Okay. I'm confident. Listen, the Eagles are a rushing team, and there's no doubt about it. So what teams are going to do to attempt to stop that is stop them from rushing. I think the Vikings succeed in slowing down Miles Sanders. However, I think outside of Smith, I don't think these are large receptions. I don't think these are long receptions. I think these are like 2-step routes. You're getting 3 and 4 yards, except for A.J. Brown, who drags 2 guys with him up the field. And these are the types of throws that I'm talking about. I'm not talking he's stepping back in the pocket. He's taking 5-step drops and launching the ball down the field. I have no stupid, crazy illusions that Jalen Hurts is that kind of quarterback. However, Ryan, you've pointed it out. They're going towards a passing team. At some point, he's going to have to start throwing the football. And I think it's going to be prime time against the Vikings, week 2, 2022. Eagles 45, Vikings 42.
I mean, I think we all agree on one thing, that this is going to be a high-scoring game with the extra day of preparation that could very well come to fruition. But, man, I think John Gannon is going to be asked a lot of questions after this game. And he was, as we touched on with Talking 2 on 5, he's already got the hottest seat in Philadelphia. If he gives up 40-plus to the Vikings, the confidence in the defense, you're going to have to really look at this team, myself included, and be like, are they going to win 11 games?
Yeah, the Gannon thing, look, the whole Philly fan base is, if it doesn't go the way they think it should after 1 or 2 games, like, let's cut this guy, get this guy out of here. However, the Eagles defense played significantly better down the stretch last year. John Gannon did make adjustments at the end of the season last year. They made the playoffs when they didn't look like they were going to make the playoffs. It's cut and dry, right?
Go find where those teams ranked offensively last year. And they were terrible teams. It was the Skins. It was the Giants. I mean, it didn't tell me anything because as soon as they got to the Buccaneers, they got spanked in the first half, and then they coasted on them in the second half.
I think a lot of that playoff game was jitters from the coaching staff and the players. Let's
take a look at the good teams they faced. Chargers scored damn near every possession they had. The Chiefs put up over 40 points against them. I mean, the Buccaneers, coasted after this.
Those are 2 games that the Eagles still almost pulled out. The 2 games that you cited right there, the Chiefs and Chargers, the Eagles almost pulled those games out.
They lost by 2 touchdowns to the Chiefs. They didn't almost win that game.
I'm thinking of a different one.
The full quarter the Chiefs took off.
Yeah, but the point is, John Gannon couldn't stop a half decent offense to save his life. He's not going to do it again this year. I mean, Tim already touched on it. Jordan Davis played 22% of the snaps or something like that.
No,
22 snaps the whole game.
Yeah, it's terrible. Terrible. John Gannon has no idea what he's doing.
Well, hopefully Nick Sirianni sees that, Howie Roseman sees that, and we get a defensive coordinator in here real fast, because if we're going into calling games that are going up to 80, 90-point games, we're not sitting pretty.
Go ahead and give me the resurrection stone. I will pull Jim Johnson out of that grave right now. I got a lot of dead family members. I'm walking straight up to Jim Johnson. Hey, brother, you want to help us out?
Hey, I'm for it, man. Let's do this. That's an awesome Harry Potter reference right there, my friend. All right, that's going to do it. That's going to do it here for us on BSing Sports. Our intro music is brought to you by Orphan Rivers, as I've already pointed out. Talking 215, our affiliate podcast, is always available. They have a brand new show. I believe last night they recorded it. Like I said, I was listening to it this morning. Give them a look and follow us on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch,
Spotify,
Facebook.
Apple Podcasts, everywhere.
Yeah, we are officially everywhere at this point in time. You got anything before I sign us off, fellas?
Go Birds.
Go Birds.
Go Birds. Thanks for joining us here on BSing Sports, where we do a little BS. Are you clicking the button?
Yeah. I'll click the button to quote my buddy.
Thanks for joining us here on BSing Sports, where we do a little BS and we talk a whole lot of sports. Have a good night.